are listening to Real Estate Insiders Radio, featuring successful real estate insiders, influencers, and trendsetters sharing proven tips and strategies to help you navigate the complex world of real estate right now.
Welcome, everyone, to today's show. It is sponsored by ProsperTour.com, your go-to partner for real estate investment solutions. Connect at ProsperTour.com today, and you too will prosper when you buy or sell your investment property. ProsperTour.com, where real estate investments produce cash, clarity, and calm. Call 800-5-SOUTH-1. It's your time to prosper. Today's guest is Mitch Stephen. He helps investors find their financial freedom and create a lifestyle they choose. Mitch is the author of My Life and 1,000 Houses series, which consists of 3 books and still counting. My Life in 1,000 Houses, Failing Forward to Financial Freedom. My Life in 1,000 Houses, 200-plus ways to find bargain properties. And finally, My Life in 1,000 Houses, The Art of Owner Financing. Mitch specializes in the strategy of buying with other people's money, which we call OPM in the business, as you know, and then selling with owner financing, an inventive way to have cash flow without being a landlord. Mitch is the bank, and his strategy deals exclusively without banks. So he does well in the good times, and he booms in the bad times. He speaks all over the country and has students all over the nation. Mitch's favorite thing to do in life is to help you fire your boss. His Real Estate Investor Summit is also a podcast, goes out 3 times a week, and we will tell you more about that at the end of the interview. Welcome, Mitch.
Hi, how are you doing, Felicia?
I am great. Nice to have you on with us today. It's a pleasure to have you actually as one of our premier guests on Real Estate Insiders Radio. Again, welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Tell me, Mitch, what would you describe as your perfect prospect in your business? Who is it that it is your intention to help, actually?
Well, we're in a business that helps so many different kinds of people. But if we're talking about helping investors find their way to a perfect lifestyle for them, I'm looking for people that my perfect customer is probably not a novice, done a lot of deals, anywhere from 20 to 100 deals. But they're having trouble getting the business to work for them. They're constantly working in the business. The business is driving them, and they don't have the time that they need to enjoy their success. They're plenty successful financially.
Yeah.
My prospect has plenty of money and is doing well financially. They don't have any time. Their business is consuming all their time. And I help people get that all in balance.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you do that exactly? Can you kind of walk me a little bit through how you help them? What are the 2 to 3 problems?
For example, in 2015 and in 2016, I bought just under 100 houses each year in my hometown of San Antonio, Texas. I've been doing this business for 20 years. I've always done about 100 houses a year. The most I ever did was 150 exactly, and the least I ever did was somewhere around 40. And the last 2 years, I finally learned how to create a business that could run without me. In 2015 and 2016, I didn't see one of those 100 houses I bought, and I didn't see one of the people who bought the house from me. I didn't see either side. I had created a business now that ran without me, and I could run it from like a CEO from the top down, and I could run it from anywhere in the world I could get a phone connection or an internet connection. I just had to stay in touch with my team and answer the critical questions and let my systems that I set up work, and then constantly try to improve my systems.
Wow. So if you say there were 2 to 3 problems, real or perceived, that you were solving, what would they be? Sounds like one of them would be, as I mentioned in my intro, firing your boss. That's one for sure.
Well, yeah, the biggest problem that most people have is the ability to find private money. There's a million roadblocks that people put in their mind about that. And, I don't know people with money. I'm not a salesperson. I have a bankruptcy recently. I don't have good credit. I don't have a long history in this business. I'm new. I'm too young. Who's going to loan me? I'm 22 years old. Who's going to loan me money? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I help people get over those hurdles and go find the private money, because private money is the difference between making a good living and being a multi-millionaire. And we have to overcome some hurdles. And what a good coach does is they help change your belief system. And they take things that you don't believe can be done, and they convince you and change your belief system to show you that it can be done. And then once you believe you can do something, and I like to say success happens when your belief system comes to the conclusion that you can accomplish it. And so I got to get people turned around and get them to see that they can find private money. And the trick is real simple. I change their mind because it's not about them. I have to convince them that it's not about them. It's not about how young you look or how young you are. It's not whether you have good credit or not good credit. As a matter of fact, you could be in jail for murder behind bars, and you still should be able to get the money, because it's not about you. It's about the deal. It's about what are you going to pay the people that loan you the money, and what do they get if you don't pay them? And in our case, they either get an interest rate that we agree on, or they get the house that they loaned the money on, and the house is worth substantially more than what we asked them to loan. Usually it's about 45% higher. The house is 45% higher than the amount they loan. So an example, I average borrowing $55,000 on a house that I would sell for $100,000. So if I don't pay the person the $55,000 that I borrowed, they get my $100,000 house. That's not a bad deal.
Gotcha. Now tell me, so you're saying that it is a misconception then that you cannot begin real estate investing without money?
No, it's a misconception that it's difficult to get. It's not that difficult to get. It's not that difficult to get at all. It just it just takes a belief system that comes to the conclusion that you can get it. And if you talk to enough people, you'll prove it to yourself, because you don't. I challenge people to go out and get 50 no's in a row. I thought, I bet you can't get 50 no's in a row. This is the challenge. Go out and get a no every day for 50 days. I bet you can't do it. I'll challenge you. And so every time you get a no, you should celebrate, because you're one closer. But you'll never make it to 50 no's.
I love that.
Somewhere there's going to be a yes.
Yes. So the one of the challenges for a new investor then would be to be comfortable perhaps with the no's and continue to strive.
Absolutely. And that's why I try to redirect the goal. The goal is to get the no's. Go get the no's. So when someone tells you no, it's a good thing. You accomplished your goal. I'm just saying you can't get no after no after no. So there's going to be yeses come up. And there's the little hidden surprise.
Well, I know that you're correct in that particular misconception. I just attended a conference with thousands of real estate investors, and that was the number one thing that came up is not knowing where to find the money. So that is a huge issue. And I think the other one is your second book is not knowing where to find or how to find the bargain properties.
Yeah, that's the two main. There's like three main parts to the business. There's finding the deals, funding the deals, and then selling the deals. So the first two, the finding and the funding, are the most intimidating, because nothing happens without those two things. You first have to find a deal, and actually finding the deal is more important than the funding, because a good deal will always attract money. I mean, if I found $1 million house and I got it under contract for $200,000, it's not going to be too hard to find $200,000, if I want to get out there and raise it real quick, because it's $1 million house. And who doesn't want to put up $200,000 to buy a $1 million house? Now, I may not have the $200,000, but somebody does, and they're not even going to be remotely worried about it, about putting it up, because if the house is truly worth $1 million. So this is an exaggerated example, but you can imagine how good deals would attract the money. Now, it can't attract it by itself. It still needs you. And what we are 2 legs, 2 arms, and a megaphone. And so when we find a great deal, we take our 2 arms and we grab hold of that deal and we hold it over our head. We take our 2 legs and we walk around town, and we take our mouth or our megaphone and we start shouting, "Hey, I got a fantastic deal over here. Who wants to be part of it? Bring the money."
Yes.
And that's what our job is just to promote the fact that we have a great deal. And and then when you learn where to promote it and how to promote it, it all becomes built up into a big conglomerate of, emotions that finally say, you know what, I can do this. And then you go out and you do it because you believe you can.
Absolutely. And that's where the coaching and that level of support comes in. Now, tell me, we're on Real Estate Insiders Radio, and you're definitely a real estate insider. That's not even up for question. Tell me, though, what are, let's say, 2 of those 200 ways, if you could educate our audience and just give them a sneak preview on your book, what would be a couple or your top 2 to 3 ways to find bargain properties for those investors out there who are listening right now?
Well, there's different markets have different things work in different markets. For the longest time, all you ever needed in my town was bandit signs. I bought hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses with bandit signs. That's all I ever had to do was go out and put up a couple hundred bandit signs and avoid the sign police, sometimes pay a fine or 2. But I had all the houses I could do, but that went by the wayside. Things are constantly changing. Technology is constantly changing. Courthouses are being brought online more and more and more. Most of the big cities have their courthouse online now, but smaller cities where a lot of the deals are, they don't have their courthouse online. So it's different things in different cities, or different counties, depending on, whether the county's online or not. And so I would say this. It's all about out-of-the-box thinking, because you have to go someplace that the world's not going to. If you think you're going to go down to the local auction, everyone and their dog is down there. They're all carrying briefcases full of money, and they're all paying too much. As a matter of fact, I saw what they were paying for houses at my auction in San Antonio, and I took 2 of my problem properties, and I went down there and I foreclosed on myself, and I sold them down there, and I had my money in 48 hours, and I can't believe how much I got for them. That's out-of-the-box thinking. So here's another out-of-the-box thinking. How do you find the owner of abandoned houses? Well, you go to the courthouse, you talk to the neighbors, you hire a private detective. You can do all this stuff. There's a whole long list of ways to find the owners of abandoned houses that are difficult to find. You know how I find them? I take a $1 plastic sign and I write on it, "For sale," and I put my phone number and I put it in the front yard, and the owner calls me every single time.
Whoa.
It's about out-of-the-box thinking.
It. Yes.
Yeah. So,
yes, that's great.
And then when they don't call me, after months go by and they don't call me, then I just move in. It's called adverse possession. Now, it's not quite that simple, but you get your lawyers, you do a bunch of notifications. If nobody's really paying attention to this house and no one's going to call me, then that means the owner's dead or gone, or I don't know, but I start researching it real heavy at that point to see if this guy might not he's even alive anymore, or if there's any heirs or anything. When I come to the conclusion that there's not, then I might adversely possess the house. But that's a whole nother league. And what do they say on those shows? Please don't try this without professional help.
Right. There's the disclosure, folks. Tell me this, and this might require a moment of silence. I'm just thinking here. Is there anything, what would you say would be the most important thing that you wish someone told you before you purchased your first property? Is there any one thing for those?
I don't even have to think.
Sounds like you don't have to think about it.
I don't even have to think. I wish someone would have told me to hire a coach that had bought thousands of houses and talked to him and paid them to not have to go through the things that I had to go through to learn what I learned. It was horrible, and it almost cost me a career because I was about to quit after my first year in the business because I had made so many mistakes. It was beating me up. And I was not feeling very good about myself, nor was anyone around me thinking I was very smart, like my spouse. And, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I failed early. And if I had just hired someone who'd done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, I wouldn't have made all those mistakes. But, you're going to pay one way or the other. You're either going to pay the coach or you're going to pay the street. Now, I like to tell everyone I graduated from La Calle U. How's your Spanish, Felecia? You know Spanish?
I'm not affluent.
Okay. So La Calle means the street in Spanish. I tell everyone I graduated from La Calle U. So I come from San Antonio, Texas. We have a big Hispanic population down here. And
okay.
But you're either going to pay the coach or the professor or somebody, or you're going to pay the street. And the street is ruthless. And the street will take all your money and never even flinch.
I agree, and I do have a coach as well. I believe strongly in investing in yourself, in your business in that way. That is definitely crucial. Now, just for fun, I come from a background of radio and television, and let's just go over to the real estate side before I let you go today. From radio perspective, what is your favorite song that motivates you? Do you have? Are you a music guy? Is there a song that you can play when you're needing a picker upper that kind of gets your adrenaline going, and you're like, okay, I can do this today?
There's two songs. One is "Don't Look Back" by Boston. And the other one is, and one is "Roll with the Changes" by REO Speedwagon.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, you may not know this, but if you go to Mitch Stephen music.com, I've written over 100 songs there, and I've been writing songs for over 40 years. And I'm going to get good at it like any day now, Felecia.
Oh, my goodness. Now, I want everyone to know that this was off the record, and I had no idea that he had music.
I don't ever talk about that very much. That's just my private little hobby that I've been doing forever. But I've won some awards around, and nothing big, but I enjoy writing my songs, and I've been doing it since I was in the 7th grade, and I don't know why, but it's just something I do in the background all the time. Wrote a song last week, as a matter of fact. And I write my songs in my head, so I can be on a plane, or I can be driving, or wherever I can write. I write everything in my head.
Wow, that is insanely wonderful to hear. And I've already admired you from what I've read about, what you're doing and the books that you've written. And now that has taken me to a different level with you, for sure, Mitch. That is incredible. What a great thing to know about you from the inside. Now, is there a favorite free resource that you enjoy as an investor?
Well, I use so many resources. I don't know if any of them are like favorites, but I use a lot because my strategy of owner financing houses, I back into the price, the owner finance value of a house. I use the rents, and I back into a sales price based on the rents, because the core belief of my business is that a renter paying $1,000 a month would rather pay $1,000 to own. And so I take these renters that will never be able to get a traditional loan, and I back into a sales price based on their rent so that they can own my house for the same as rent. And so I use Rent-O-Meter a lot to establish what the rents are in the neighborhood. Rent-O-Meter.
I've heard of that, yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks for that. And thank you so much, Mitch Stephen, for an opportunity to speak with you on Real Estate Insiders Radio. Guys, you can learn more about Mitch and what he is doing. His Real Estate Investor Summit podcast goes out 3 times a week. You can find this podcast at reinvestorsummit.com. You may also find Mitch's books, webinars, podcasts, and as I mentioned, free. He has a ton of free stuff at 1000houses.com, and that is numeral 1000 houses.com. It has been a real pleasure again, Mitch, and I wish I could sing. I would sing the song "Don't Stop Believing" at this point as we close. Can't wait to talk with you
I love
again.
That.
It is a great song. And again, it's been a pleasure. I'll definitely want to hear more about you, and I'll be following you and perhaps even see you on one of your vacations, which is another story. And you guys will find out, again, more about Mitch and what he's doing at 1000houses.com. Take care.
This has been another episode of Real Estate Insiders Radio. To hear all episodes featuring our handpicked real estate insiders, visit us online at realestateinsidersradio.com.